Welcome to the YouTube channel for my new book, Seed of Israel, DNA Guide to Tracing Your Jewish Ancestry. Available on Amazon in ebook and paperback versions. Links to order your copy are below. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get more videos like this. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Middle Eastern origins of Ashkenazi Jews. It's not something that I particularly like to talk about, or something that I don't believe is really actually that important. But it keeps the origins of Ashkenazi Jews seems to be sort of an obsessive topic, and especially in these culturally changing times in the West and in America, in the age of identity politics and a more diverse society, and just a lot is changing. So I just think that it sort of needs to be reiterated again and again and again based on the latest genetic science, the latest historical research, archaeology, everything, and it should all be rooted in that, not ideology, or an political agenda or anything like that. There should always be a quest for the truth, and so I really believe that it's just important. So what really sparked this video was, and I also wrote an article about this for the Times of Israel, which was submitted for review, and it's going to be published soon. But what sparked this idea for this article and video, I've also posted on social media, it went viral on Twitter, was an article in a recent article in the Washington Post about the increasing diversity of the American Jewish community. And in this article, the author stated that, quote, many American Jews have roots in Eastern Europe, unquote. And that was the author was saying that in contrast to Jews with roots in the Middle East and other non-European regions of the world. And what I've been trying to, convey in previous videos and articles are that the Ashkenazi Jews, which is the diaspora subgroup that most American Jews belong to, are Middle Eastern. So, like I said, there's plenty of genetic, textual, and archaeological evidence to back up what is called the Rhineland theory of Ashkenazi Jewish migration from Israel to Italy to the Rhineland, Rhineland Pfalz, Rhineland Palatinate, in modern-day Germany, and then later migrations to Eastern Europe. So, Ashkenazi Jews descend from Middle Eastern Jews, taken in slave ships from Israel to Italy following the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE. According to Fabrizio Lelli, Associate Professor of Hebrew Language and Literature at the University of Salento in Lecce, Italy, the future Roman Emperor Titus, not exactly sure the proper pronunciation, he brought 8,000 Jewish captives from the First Jewish-Roman War to Apulia in southern Italy. And Lelli asserts that, quote, the European diaspora began in Apulia, unquote, as Jews who settled in southern Italy from Judea spread throughout the Italian peninsula and across Europe. So really, Apulia was very central to the Western diaspora, and it was the southeastern most port of the port cities in Apulia, the southeastern region that faced the Adriatic, faced was Eastern Mediterranean, looking towards Israel, the Holy Land, and so it was an entry point for Jewish slaves, Jewish refugees coming from Israel, either captured Judeans or Jews fleeing the Jewish-Roman wars. I want to quote Lelli here. He says, at the time of the transition of power, now this is later on, when the Byzantine Empire ruled southern Italy, which was the Western Roman Empire ended in the 400 CE. The Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium, prospered for a lot longer, much longer after. I think maybe possibly another 1,000 years after the Western Roman Empire collapsed. So, but at the time of the transition of power from the Byzantines to the Normans were a Viking people who mixed with indigenous Franks and Gallo-Romans in France, northern France, and they invaded southern Italy and Sicily. So at the time, that transition from the Byzantines to the Normans, many Jews migrated from southern Italy, from Apulia, to northern Italy, and from there to the Rhineland. And Lely writes, where they contributed to the formation and enrichment of Ashkenazi liturgical and philosophical traditions. And so the Kalonimos family of Talmudic scholars followed a similar route to the Rhineland as other Jews, from Apulia to Lucca in northern Italy to Mainz along one of the Rhineland cities. The Kalonimos rabbis were instrumental in developing the Ashkenazi religious rite around 900 years ago in the medieval Rhineland Palatinate Shum cities of Mainz, Worms, and Speyer. Jews also migrated to the Rhineland region from the French Midi, another term for southern France, during the Middle Ages. The Jews of southern France came up from southern Italy during an earlier period. According to the book Jews in the Medieval German Kingdom by Alfred Haverkamp, for Jews in these Mediterranean lands, who like many of their Christian neighbors suffered from continuing Muslim raids until far into the second half of the 10th century, the empire north of the Alps gained attractiveness after the end of the Hungarian incursions. In Byzantine Italy, moreover, Jews had been targets of renewed persecution during the second quarter of the century. And as we've seen throughout Jewish history, the tolerant times didn't last for long for the southern Italian Jews who settled in the Rhineland region of Germany. A series of Crusader massacres culminated in the Erfurt Massacre of 1349, when Jews were blamed for the Black Death sweeping across Europe. The persecutions of Jews in German lands led to eastward migrations to what at the time was the more tolerant Slavic lands, such as the Kingdom of Poland and other areas of Eastern Europe. So Ashkenazi Jews were in Eastern Europe only since the late Middle Ages, and in Germany for an even briefer period, beginning in the early Middle Ages. The roots of Ashkenazi Jews are not in Eastern Europe, or Western Europe, or Southern Europe. The roots of Ashkenazi Jews are in the land of Israel, where the ethnogenesis of the Jewish people occurred some 4,000 years ago. Ashkenazi Jews were exiled to Europe. Ashkenazi Jews are not European. Ashkenazi Jews are Middle Eastern and are 100% indigenous to the land of Israel. And so that's my counter to this article in the Washington Post. And to also to just anyone who wants to just portray Ashkenazi Jews as the white Jews, as the European Jews, well, the history is a lot more complicated than that. And we certainly were not seen as the quote-unquote white Jews when we were persecuted time and again in Europe, suffered horrific persecutions and expulsions culminating in the Holocaust, the show of this murder of 6 million Jews. So, and genetics just shows that we do have a significant amount of ancestry from the Eastern Mediterranean region and the Levantine Middle East. And so that just can't be denied, So, on a future video, I'm just going to finish the video, wrap it up here. In a future video, I want to talk about a theory of mine that Ashkenazi Jews are basically ancient Hebrews and ancient Greeks. So we really represent the Jews of antiquity, who the Hellenistic Jews in Judea and in the Mediterranean diaspora. So ancient Greeks, ancient Hebrews, and then I think that there was some later minor admixture from Northern Europe. I'm not exactly sure whether it was in Northern France maybe, or maybe in Lithuania or something, or Poland. or Germany perhaps, but we did pick up some minor Northern European admixture. I also believe that there is some minor in some Ashkenazi Jews, very minor, either sub-Saharan African admixture, which I'm not sure where that would come from. And also, I think in some Ashkenazi Jews, or perhaps a majority of Ashkenazi Jews, there is some very minor sort of East Asian admixture. And my guess is that might have come from our time in like Russia, which a lot of Russia is in Asia, and it's close to Central Asia. Jews were very active on the Silk Road as traders and merchants, and so there would have been a lot of interaction with East Asian kinds of people, or possibly Turkic people, or Central Asian type people who would have possibly mixed a little bit, had that East Asian admixture. That obviously that whole Khazar conversion theory has been debunked. There was no mass conversion of the Khazarian empire. The royal elites, though, probably did convert to Judaism. And so they might have mixed in a little bit, possibly in Kiev, in Ukraine. So there is possibly some very minor of that, admixture of that. So, but basically, besides that minor Northern European admixture and a very, very minor either Sub-Saharan African or East Asian admixture, Ashkenazi Jews are mostly a Levantine and Aegean mix. And that comes from antiquity. And I believe that's also why Ashkenazi Jews are genetically similar to Southern Italians and Sicilians. Because Southern Italy and Sicily was colonized by the Phoenicians from the Levant, and also the Carthaginians in Tunisia, who were ethnically Phoenician, so they were from the Levant as well. And then it was also later the Emirate of Sicily, Maghrabi Arabs colonized the Sicily and southern Italy, and then the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, colonized Sicily and southern Italy. It was called Magna Graecia. So, and all these groups left their genetic imprint. And then later, there was, as I mentioned earlier, there was the Norman conquest of southern Italy and southern France, and they would have left their genetic input as well. And again, like I said, the Normans were sort of a mix of like Scandinavian Vikings and indigenous Franks from France, and Gallo-Romans, and the Normans were based in northern France. So that would have been that Northern European admixture that was added on to the existing Levantine Aegean admixture, which I think is just why we're just Ashkenazi Jews are very, very similar to Sicilians and Southern Italians. But with all that said, we absolutely can trace a lot of our ancestry to the Eastern Mediterranean of antiquity, and we are 100% indigenous to the land of Israel. So thank you for watching.